really try and unstick that from the table. Really try and unstick it. Really try. Hi there, this is James Tripp. Welcome to this video, which is part 2 of the Handstick tutorial update. And if you haven't watched part 1, make sure you do watch part 1 because it's important. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, if you're new here and you want to make sure you get the rest of this series and everything else that occurs here on the channel, hit subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and do make sure you watch that first video because I set the frames for what we're doing in that. There's something I really want to mention here. While we're not getting deep into frameworks, deep into principles of hypnosis with this tutorial, with this breakdown, there is one concept that I want to mention and make sure that you understand. It is the concept of pacing and leading. Pacing and leading. This is a key concept in hypnosis, particularly if you've trained in Ericksonian schools or you've come in through NLP or clean language or something like that. I talk a lot about clean language and the basic fundamental clean syntax, which is a pacing and leading syntax. What does pacing and leading mean? Pacing and leading simply means acknowledging somebody's current reality, showing them, ideally unconsciously, that you are in the same place as them. You're resonating along with them as they are currently experiencing things before starting to lead them in a different direction. If you haven't matched someone's current experience and reality and you start leading them in a different direction, it tends to engender resistance. But if you flowed along with them for a little bit, then you can start elegantly leading people in different directions. So pacing and leading is something that's happening all the time. It's underneath all of the processes that I do, everyday communication, formal hypnotic elicitations, everything, the change work I do. Pacing and leading is fundamental. It's right there underneath of everything. People who come on the Hypnosis Skills Bootcamp will know I start with non-verbal pacing and leading. If you remember training with me before, with the Hypnosis Deep Dive that we're doing on the 24th, 25th of November in Edinburgh, we are obviously going to be looking at pacing and leading, but it's a different training from the Hypnosis Skills Bootcamp. So pacing and leading is key. I will reference it a lot. I wanted to make sure you knew ahead of time exactly what it was. Other than that, there's not anything else that needs to be said here, so let's get into breaking down what's happening in this handstick segment. Now I'm going to say, okay, so, yeah, that's your right hand. Right hand is good. Okay, Ken, just place your... So jumping straight in, those of you familiar with Hypnosis Without Trance, the Hypnosis Mastery Program material, you will recognize that I did a little bit of witch doctoring there. I may have mentioned this in the original handstick tutorial series as well, back years ago, but this concept of witch doctoring is doing anything that implies there is a reason for it, even if there isn't. Okay, so you might do some sort of evaluation like, oh yeah, you're right-handed. Yeah, I think we'll go with your right hand on this. And it's a little bit of acting, a little bit of pantomime that implies that there's some kind of evaluation being made. Now, the secondary implication of that is that there is meaning to that. It means something, it is meaningful. So what you are doing through witch doctoring is implying meaning. And when people see something as meaningful, they engage more, they buy in more. So this is a principle that's a big piece in the Hypnosis Without Trance approach, but it's also a useful piece if you're interested in becoming a more influential communicator out there in the world. Knowing how to witch doctor, so to speak, in your everyday communications is a very powerful thing. Okay, so let's move on with this breakdown. Okay, Ken, just place your right hand down. What did I just do? What did Ken just do? Right. I placed it down in a particular way. I showed him how to place it down. And he did exactly what I did, which is good. This is a green flag. Okay, so this is the very first bit of the process where I'm drawing the person I'm working with in. Now, what I'm emphasizing here is the non-verbals. I really show the person I'm working with. I lead and I show them the way I want them to place their hand down. In the Hypnosis Skills Bootcamp, which this is a piece of footage is taken from, I really emphasize drilling non-verbal communication. We start with the non-verbals before we add the verbals, because if you know how to lead somebody non-verbally, you're going to lead them at a far more powerful level. The reason why, by the way, is because if you look at the idea of hypnosis being, at least in part, about bypassing somebody's critical faculty, somebody cannot argue with non-verbal communication. They can't critically engage with non-verbal communication. They can only critically engage with verbal communication. This is one of the reasons why I really emphasize in the students that I have and the people I teach hypnosis, that they really develop this non-verbal side to a very, very high level. In the Hypnosis Deep Dive that's coming up in Edinburgh, I'm not going to be leaning in as heavily as I do in the Hypnosis Skills Bootcamp because it's a different format training, but we still will be making sure that we are aware of non-verbal communication all the way through every process. The second little piece on here that I point out is that the person I'm working with, his following of the non-verbal instruction just immediately without hesitation is what I call in the Hypnosis Mastery Program and in the Hypnosis Without Trance approach, I call it a green flag. We're constantly looking for red flags and green flags, things that tell us whether the person we are working with is buying in, flowing along with the process, that's green flags, or whether they've got resistance, critical faculty engagement, these kinds of things. This is red flags. So we're looking out for these all the time, in real time, throughout the process. And what we have here is a wonderful green flag. This is a green flag. Right? So it's gone straight down on the table, and we're both leant over it, aren't we? Mm-hmm. So where's all our energy going? Where's all our direction going? Our direction of focus is all going down. So this little piece here, this is a huge thing. People miss this all the time when they're doing phenomena work. They don't look at what kind of physical conditions, environmental conditions are conducive to the effect they want to have happening. So they often do things that are set up in ways that can actually encourage something to fall apart. This is something to be fully aware of. Not just, by the way, in hypnotic phenomena work, but in your everyday communications. You really want to manage the dynamic in detail and be having everything that you do layering the odds towards the outcome that you have in mind actually unfolding that way. So I just wanted to give a little bit of extra focus on there. I'm talking about it there in the video, but that extra focus, I want to be stacking the odds in my favor, arranging circumstances, arranging physiology, arranging everything so as it's most conducive to the outcome that I want to have happening fully and completely. So, and then I'm going to say, okay, so pick a point right on that hand, pick a point that you can focus on fully and intently. So I mentioned in the first video in the setup that I wasn't going to get into the 5-step process that Hypnosis Without Trance is built around. I teach it in the Hypnosis Mastery Program. I'm not going to get into it, but this is kind of step 2. It's about getting focus, managing focus. Now you'll note here that I don't just ask him to pick a point of focus, I encourage him to focus in a particular way, focus intently. Now this is something that I've built into my work a lot more recently. If I want to get a phenomena that's about stiffness, rigidness, lockness, I'm going to ask them to focus intently. Why? Because that's a congruent communication with the overall energy, the overall vibe that I want to evoke. If I was doing a more relaxation-based piece, I might say, just focus on that point in such a way as you can become fully absorbed now. So I'd speak with a different tonality, I'd use different language. Focus intently is different from just allow yourself to become fully absorbed. You see, so even in the setup phase, when you're getting them to focus their attention and intention, how you do it counts. Do it in a way that is congruent with the effect that you want to facilitate. Okay, so looking at the timings, this is just about the perfect place to pause this for now. We will be back for part 3, continuing this breakdown. If you like the video, please like the video. I do want to say that this video series is being sponsored by the Hypnosis Deep Dive, which is a live training. It's on the 24th, 25th of November in Edinburgh. And the week that you see this video, if you want to jump on, there's 25% off. It is the last time I will be training. Make that clear. If you want to train with me in the elicitation and utilization of hypnotic phenomena, the Hypnosis Deep Dive is a must for you to get on. Okay, so important thing, if you want to get part 3 of this, make sure that you absolutely get it. Hit subscribe, hit the notifications bell. Also do the same if you're looking for rich perspectives on using your mind to shape your life, personal mastery, hypnosis beyond, perspectives you will not get anywhere else. Make sure you hit that subscribe and hit that bell. Okay, look forward to continuing this conversation in part 3 of this breakdown of the hypnotic handstick.